Toys R Us exits the marketplace after 70 years of making kids' dreams come true. And hey, I was a Toys R Us kid, sort of. Honestly, I always prefer to hang out in the R zone, or less, the video game corner. I come from a Mario-friendly family, and most of my presents over the years probably did come from Toys R Us. This is my tribute to the great but sadly outdated toy retailer, specifically my local store number 5628, where I'll go over everything that I acquired from Toys R Us. So as far as what I brought together here, I'm going off of receipts and my good old memory. I'm probably remembering some wrong or forgetting a few, but who cares? I've got stories to tell. By far the biggest purchase that I made at Toys R Us was my Nintendo GameCube. After saving up and receiving a few gift cards, I got the jet black GameCube. I only got 4 years out of it before some mechanism inside broke, which caused the disc reader to stop working. Oh, that was a bad day. So I went back to Toys R Us and bought a later version, Platinum GameCube. Eventually, when I got the Nintendo Wii with backwards compatibility, I gave my cousin my Platinum one, hence why it's not here. I ended up getting a lot of my controllers from Toys R Us. In fact, before I started importing the more exotic ones, I got all my GameCube controllers from here. I remember, they had a demo GameCube available to play, and boy were his controllers used up. Oh, those grubby-handed kids. Speaking of controllers, I also got N64 controllers from here as well. At least the gold one for sure. It's hard to forget finding the rareware in the store. Shut up. Post-Christmas 2000 had my family and relatives taking all of us kids at Toys R Us to return duplicates and use up gift cards. In what was probably the same trip as when I got that gold controller, I got Kirby 64. Hi! I really wanted that game, and by golly, I enjoyed it. It was one of the few, if not the only, N64 game that I didn't get as a present. I got it on my own. Let's go back to the GameCube for a moment. Most GameCubers probably think of Super Smash Bros. Melee first. I remember one time at Toys R Us, I saw Melee there, wanted it, but didn't get it because of the ESRB for teen rating. I interpreted it as a rule, not a warning, so I thought I had to wait till I was 13 to get it. Don't judge me, dagnabbit. Meanwhile, standing next to me was a much younger boy who promptly got his mom to get it for him, and I got so jealous. I eventually got my Melee at age 12 along with my GameCube. I got Super Mario Sunshine as well, but from a Los Angeles Toys R Us. Possibly the first time that I learned that companies can have multiple stores. Gasp! Odd story with this game, by the way. We had a Datsun 280Z car in the family that I really liked, but was sold. To cheer me up, I received a cut of the money made from it, and I spent it on Sunshine. Yeah, I looked on the bright side. Next. The last of the console games that I got from Toys R Us was The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. I got this from the Gerudo Desert of America, specifically Yuma, Arizona. I just happened to schedule a road trip into the desert on the day that the Nintendo Switch released, and at any rate I figured I'd have a better chance at finding a Switch and Switch-related stuff in the desert. Nope, it was still a struggle. In fact, at this compact and crusty Toys R Us, I got the last initial copy of the game. Switching over to handhelds now, my memory tells me that I acquired Super Mario Bros. Deluxe at my local Toys R Us. Oh, those frustratingly fun times racing the 8-bit Boo! Come to think of it, this may have been the first game to frustrate me as a kid. I did play Super Mario Bros. And the Lost Levels in Super Mario All-Stars on a friend's SNES, but alas, I remember nothing more. Unfortunately, it appears that we threw away the Super Mario Bros. Deluxe box. And now for a really odd story. Remember Blockbuster Video? Whew. I rented Kirby Tilt and Tumble from Blockbuster and played through at least 75% of the game before I had to return it. But I didn't want to return it and lose my progress, so I got the game from my Toys R Us and swapped the cartridges. They got the fresh new copy while I got to keep playing without interruption. With no Blockbuster stickers to worry about, they were none the wiser. Also, my Game Boy Color was the kiwi green one. I miss it. I hope my cousins are taking good care of it. Moving on, I have Game & Watch Gallery 3 and 4. I feel like only one of them came from Toys R Us. Maybe both. Maybe neither. Oh, Waluigi, you had a sweet punchable face. Everybody cheating but me. Mario Kart Super Circuit was a big thing for me, and I was not about to wait for the holidays to get it. Upon inspecting the cartridge, I noticed an indented number 00 on it. I used to think that it meant that I got the first Mario Kart Super Circuit out of the factory, or at least the first one that the store received, as I did grab it from the back of the shelf slot. Oh, I was a naive nincompoop. During my high school and college years, I pretty much put Toys R Us out of my mind. This collection has no Wii nor DS games, but there is one 3DS game, Mario Sports Superstars. I got this during their initial closing sales. While it is not a good game, it has some value to me as it is the last thing that I ever got from my Toys R Us. So what brought me back to Toys R Us? Amiibo! Acting on a tip online about some stores randomly receiving an early shipment of Wave 3 of Smash Amiibo, I returned to my Toys R Us for the first time in probably a decade. I felt so old, I started walking like an old man. Anyway, they had one Toon Link left, with a bent sword. But I got it anyway. This is the Toon Link that I nicknamed Winston in some of my Smash Wii U videos, and I've since straightened out the sword. My Super Mario series Wario has a bit of a complicated story to it. Most Super Mario series Warios have weird eyes because this model was designed to be viewed at a certain angle. I kept my eye out for a Wario with leveled eyes. When I worked at Toys R Us and was restocking their Amiibo stash, I saw this Wario with leveled eyes. Oh! As an employee, I could not buy anything while on duty. However, right before my next off day, I moved the Wario down to the bottom of the cabinet, out of the way. Later, as a customer, I was able to get it, and with an employee discount too. Ah, these strategy guides. Prominent in the early 2000s before the internet grew big and hairy. I certainly got a bunch from my Toys R Us and Electronics Boutique. I found this Nintendo Power Advance misplaced among the kids' reading and coloring books. Wario Land 4 is what drew me to it. Sadly, after many years of enjoying it and taking care of it, I left it half sticking out from a stack of stuff by my window, and a good portion of the cover faded. Arrgh. I'm not really sure what made me want to get this Sonic Advance 2 guide, but hey, it has an R-Zone sticker on it. On the topic of Sonic, I have been collecting and reading Archie's Sonic the Hedgehog comics since I learned how to read. I found that Toys R Us was carrying them, and they were the newsstand edition. For some reason, they're more valuable than direct editions, but I digress. Before I discovered the R-Zone, I was probably in the back, most of the time being amazed by all the Hot Wheels and NASCAR diecast. No way can I remember which ones I got. I do remember being into the Brio wooden trains, which included Thomas the Tank Engine characters. My favorite was the series sad sack named Henry. My earliest memory of Toys R Us was when I had gone there to get the Henry train. I had it in hand and the power went out, and I had to put it back down. Oh, never mind the spooks of sudden darkness, I had to have to put the toy down. After that, my memory gets a little foggy as I can't remember if we got it later after the power came back, or we left and got this train at our local mom and pop toy shop. Still, got a fond memory out of it though. And that's it. Funny how my collection of stuff from Toys R Us only has one actual toy. Then again, we probably gave away my old toys after we grew out of them. I wasn't about to remember them anyway. It's a shame that kids of the future may not have a big toy emporium to explore. Thanks for the memories, Toys R Us store number 5628. And thanks to all employees over the years, destined to make kids' dreams come true.